You've been hurt, and you're still carrying that pain. Perfect, because today you're going to learn how to let it go without needing revenge, without losing your peace, and without becoming what hurt you. This isn't a video for seeking justice. It's for learning to master your reaction, to look with firmness and say, you no longer have power over me. Because from a Stoic perspective, you'll understand that the true punishment isn't hatred, it's indifference. Stay, because after this you'll know exactly how to treat those who hurt you and emerge stronger than ever. Before we begin, I want you to do something very simple yet powerful. It's about wisely choosing when to speak and when not to. It's about not acting on impulse, but from calm, because emotional intelligence also resides in silence. Not reacting immediately gives you space to think, to breathe, not to say something you'll later regret. Epictetus said that it's not things that upset us, but our opinion about them. And if you decide something isn't worth your energy, then you don't give it. Silence then becomes an act of freedom, a powerful declaration that says, I am not going to give away my peace to you, not to try to force others to see your worth, because those who do want to see it now will see it later. Perhaps not today or tomorrow, but the time will come, because time, without you having to do anything, puts everything in its place. And that includes people, truths, and consequences. You just need to have patience and keep moving forward. It gives you power, because whoever masters their tongue masters their life. Don't try to convince anyone of your worth. Keep silent, smile even if it hurts, and continue on your path. Because if you are truly valuable, they'll know it. And if they didn't know it, they didn't deserve to stay. They'll know you're always there, always respond, always give in. And what's constant becomes predictable. If they know you're always available, disappear for a while. It's about reminding yourself that you also have the power to decide how and when to respond. You're not obliged to react the same way every time. And when you change, everything around you moves. Routine not only tires those who live it, but also those who observe you. Excessive familiarity kills interest. That's why breaking the routine is also a form of rebirth. It's showing that you have a life of your own, that you're not trapped in the need to please, that you can surprise, change, evolve. When they know you always respond, always answer, always available, you become a constant. Because being always available doesn't make you more loved. It makes you easier to ignore. But when you make yourself less accessible, when you give yourself space, when you choose when to be there, you change the dynamic completely. You're no longer reacting. You're choosing. They no longer seek you out of routine. They seek you because they miss you. And constants, as painful as it is to hear, are often taken for granted. And when you do that, when you stop being always available, the other person feels it. And if they care about you, they'll seek you out more. They'll think more about you. They'll start taking care of what they once took for granted. Don't be afraid to pull back a bit. Don't be afraid to keep silent. Don't be afraid that the other person will feel uncomfortable. Sometimes that's the only language they truly understand, because the one who loses control starts to pay attention, starts to see what they didn't see before, starts to value what they were ignoring. But when you change the game, when you disappear a bit, when you stop responding like before, something starts to happen. They begin to notice your absence. And when they notice your absence, that's when they finally understand your value. And if someone truly wants to be with you, they will adapt, they will make an effort, they will change too. But first, the movement has to come from you. The decision to do something different, to break the pattern, to show that you no longer play by the same rules. Do it today. Take a step back. Stay silent. Observe, and you will see how the game changes. Not because of what you said, but because of what you stopped giving. Because when you learn to withdraw with elegance, you discover true power, making the other person realize that you are the value they never knew how to cherish. And that's attractive. That's powerful. Because what cannot be predicted is respected. If they know you always say yes, dare to say no. Are they pulling away? And then, where there was once certainty, now there is doubt. When you do that, the other person begins to question themselves. What happened? Why aren't they responding? Are they okay? And that doubt is what makes them think of you, makes them see you differently, makes them feel that perhaps they were losing you and hadn't even realized it. Epictetus said that we shouldn't be slaves to anything not under our control, and that includes the approval of others. If you're always the one maintaining the connection, stop doing it. If you reply in seconds, wait minutes. And if you feel someone has stopped valuing you, don't tell them. Maybe they'll text again. Maybe they'll worry. Maybe they'll start imagining scenarios. Show them with your absence, because when something is gone, that's when it's truly seen with different eyes. Observe what happens, but we can control how we respond, when we withdraw, and how much energy we give. Epictetus said, "No person is free who is not master of himself." And that includes being master of your presence, not giving it away to everyone. Don't live in fear that if you distance yourself, they'll forget you. On the contrary, whoever forgets you in your absence never truly valued you. They'll learn not to take your presence, your attention, your affection for granted, and those who are only there for convenience will start to pull away. And that's okay too, because you didn't come into this life to live on autopilot. You came to grow, to change, to surprise even yourself. So break the routine. Surprise, create new versions of yourself. And remember, whoever doesn't change stagnates, but whoever dares to do the unexpected begins to write a different story. And while that happens, you hold the power, not for revenge, but for balance. Because you're no longer reacting out of habit, but choosing out of awareness. And this doesn't just apply to messages, it applies to everything. If you always give in during an argument, stay silent. If you're always the one to initiate conversation, don't. If you always do favors without thinking of yourself, set boundaries. Every small change is a declaration. I'm not the same anymore. Are they pulling away? And that's where the game changes. I'm growing. I'm protecting my energy. I'm choosing differently. If your routine is based on pleasing, on always being available, on always responding the same way so as not to cause discomfort, then you are not free. Breaking that routine is also breaking chains. It's saying, I also have my own time, my own space, my own decisions. That small change can have a gigantic impact, because when something suddenly changes, it creates doubt. And where there's doubt, there's a tension. Suddenly that person who thought they had everything under control starts thinking about you. Why didn't they reply? Are they okay? Did I upset them? Time heals, organizes, and reveals everything. What's predictable becomes comfortable, and what's comfortable stops being valued. That's why sometimes the most effective way to regain respect, interest, or even control of your life is to break the routine. Time will show them what they lost while you focused on building the life you deserve. Meanwhile, focus on yourself, on healing, on growing, on becoming that version of yourself that doesn't need external validation. Because the best answers don't come from the mouths of others. They come from the silence of days, from the experiences that follow. Because when you stop looking outside for what you can only give yourself within, you become free, and time, as always, will do its job. It will show you why what seemed like a loss was actually a blessing in disguise. So don't be afraid to let go. Don't fear endings. Let things take their course. And when you look back, you'll see that you didn't need answers, you just needed time. Because what seems confusing today will make sense tomorrow. Just keep going and let time do its part. Some things are only understood with the passage of time. Time will take care of the rest. Some people only learn when you're no longer around. Breathe, let go, and let time work for you. And often what hurts you today won't matter tomorrow, because you will have grown so much that you will wonder how it could have affected you so deeply. And there are times when silence combined with the passage of time is the strongest lesson you can give. Because there's no need to shout your worth. You can't rush it, you can't force it, but you can trust it. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly. Time is like a river of passing events. Hardly has anything appeared when it is swept away, and another thing takes its place. That means everything passes, everything changes, everything is revealed in its own time. And when you stop fighting against that, you begin to live with more peace. There's no regret, no anguish over what you said or did. Just keep being you. Go to the comments and write, "My change begins now with Stoicism." They don't value your presence, your support, your affection, until they can no longer have it. In that instant when they realize what you meant, you're already far away, already on another level, growing, moving forward, healing, and that's where time becomes your greatest ally. You didn't say anything, you didn't create drama, you just kept going your own way, and that's what has the most impact. They expect you to jump, but you don't. You look at them, perhaps nod, and remain silent. That breaks everything because you didn't give them what they were looking for, because you didn't fall into their game. And best of all, you remain at peace. You're not losing, you're winning. You're training your mind. You're strengthening yourself from within. There's only tranquility because you knew how to restrain yourself. Write it down, let it be etched in your mind, in your subconscious, in your process. Because every word you declare with intention brings you closer to transformation. And that S where the exercise comes in. The next time someone says something that would normally bother you, stop, don't respond. Stay silent. Look at the person. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is calmly observe while others wear themselves out trying to provoke you. That peace you manage to maintain amidst chaos is worth more than 1,000 words. It leaves them without a script. Because whoever knows how to remain silent knows how to protect their energy. And whoever protects their energy protects their life. So the next time you feel everything in you wants to respond, stop. Remember that doing nothing is also doing something. That silence can be the most powerful act. And that often the true victory is the one unseen, the one won within. Observe how their face changes, how they expect a reaction that won't come. Perhaps they'll even laugh uncomfortably, try to repeat their provocation, or simply remain confused. You, meanwhile, stand firm. Breathe. Let's do this together. Now let's start. 1. The power of silence. There are moments in life where true power lies not in what we say, but in what we choose to keep silent. There's immense strength in staying still while everything around us screams for a reaction. Silence makes those who seek to provoke you uncomfortable. They don't know how to continue the scene when you decide not to act in their play. They feel confused, as if something doesn't fit, because by not reacting, you hand them back the mirror. And then they see themselves. They see their tone, their attitude, their words. And they start to wonder, Did I go too far? Did I do something wrong? Why didn't they say anything? That's what silence achieves. It puts others in front of their own reflection, and that often hurts more than any scream. The world expects you to explode, to say something, to respond with anger, tears, or frustration. But when you choose silence, you disarm everything, because silence isn't passivity. It's a strategy. It's not weakness. It's self-mastery. And in that pause, in that instant where others would have already erupted, you take control. It's not about ignoring everything. It's not about swallowing everything and letting people walk all over you. Change the pattern. If they know you always reply immediately, don't. Imagine someone comes to provoke you, throws a criticism, a malicious comment. This type of control isn't built overnight. It requires practice. The Stoics knew this very well. We cannot control what others do, but we can control how we respond. The next time someone texts you, wait, breathe. Don't respond immediately. With time, you'll discover that not everything deserves a response, that not everything deserves an explanation. Stop being predictable. If you're always there, step back a bit. 2. Let time work for you. We cannot control what others do, say, or feel. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is to wait, not to chase after explanations, not to demand answers. Most people want immediate results. They want to be understood, valued, recognized. Now, but that's not how life works. Many don't appreciate what they have until they lose it. When you feel something hurts, that someone doesn't value you, that you don't understand why something happened, don't rush to find answers. The Stoics taught that we shouldn't obsess over what we don't control. And time is one of those things. The next time someone distances themselves from you for no reason or treats you as if you're irreplaceable, don't react with anger or sadness. 3. Break the routine. If you always do the same thing, you'll always get the same results. And the most dangerous part is that others will know it too. Do the unexpected. It's not about manipulating. It's about reclaiming your energy, stopping living on autopilot, fulfilling expectations that others don't even appreciate. The Stoics spoke of detachment as a form of freedom. Give it a try. Over time, you'll notice that those who truly value you will adapt to your evolution. 4. Change the game. When people feel you're always there, they stop valuing you. It's not about playing with anyone's feelings. It's about taking control of your energy, your presence, your attention. True power isn't in shouting, in imposing, in demanding. It's in being able to take a step back without saying a single word. Change the game. The Stoics taught that external control is an illusion. Make yourself less accessible, not out of pride, but out of self-respect, because you also need your space, your silence, your time. Change the game, not for revenge, but for evolution, because you are no longer the same as before, because you are learning to take care of yourself, to protect yourself, not to give yourself entirely to those who cannot hold you. 5. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't always have to explain yourself. You don't always have to give reasons, justify yourself, provide details, or close chapters with words that will never be understood as you expect. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to leave in silence, without drama, without speeches, without the need for the other person to understand what you've already understood for a long time. Because whoever didn't want to see when you were present doesn't deserve an explanation when you decide to be absent. When you walk away without saying anything, something breaks, but not in you. It breaks in the other person. When someone crosses your boundaries, when they don't value you, when you notice your presence is taken for granted, simply leave. Don't explain, don't make a scene, don't try to make the other person understand. Just turn around and continue on your way. At first it might seem like nothing is happening, but over time they will feel it, because silence screams where words fail. Because when someone doesn't know why you left, they start looking for answers within themselves. And that's where their learning begins. But true liberation doesn't come from understanding. It comes from letting go. Sometimes there is no closure, no apology, no justice, only decisions. And the most powerful is to choose not to look back, because every time you do, you give life to what should already be dead. You feed a ghost, and ghosts are not confronted, they are starved. You are not here to convince anyone of your worth. You are here to recognize it yourself, because true power isn't in fixing the past, it's in not allowing it to continue to harm you. And every step you take forward is a declaration. I am no longer that broken version. I am no longer that person who stayed waiting. But because you've decided to stop being available to those who couldn't value your presence, people quickly get used to what they have for sure. They always have you there and stop looking. They always hear you and stop valuing your words. They feel you close and stop caring for what you give them. Your life cannot revolve around someone who doesn't prioritize you. Epictetus taught that what is not up to you should not disturb your calm. And if someone cannot see your worth, that's not your problem. It's their loss. Because they no longer feel you close, they no longer feel you secure. And in the mind of someone who lost something valuable, that becomes an alarm. But this time, you're no longer there, because you're busy building, healing. Make them feel unattainable, not for revenge, but as a result of your event. Because you are no longer available to those who didn't know how to be there when you needed them most. Now you are available for yourself. for your peace, for your path. And whoever wants to be there, let them show it, because you are no longer waiting for anyone. You are moving forward. You chose yourself, because your focus is now on yourself, on your growth, on your projects, on your days full of purpose. You are no longer on pause waiting to be chosen. Your peace cannot depend on someone who seeks you out one day and disappears the next. So, instead of continuing to wait, you choose yourself. Do it because you deserve it. You ask, what can I do for myself today? Start going out, discovering new places, doing things you always put off because you are focused on someone else. Don't do it to provoke, because the world is too big to reduce your life to a single person. Instead of continuing to ask, what did I do wrong? And that's how it all begins. A transformation, a rebirth, and what once made you fragile now makes you strong. But when you take a step forward, when you move on with your life, when you stop waiting and start building, that's when they feel it, and they feel it deeply. I am someone who understood that their peace is worth more than any unresolved story, and that the future is built by looking where you are going, not where you have already been. It's not carrying it like a backpack you have to check every day. It's letting go of that need to rewrite what has already been written. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control the past, only our attitude toward it. Remind yourself that it's over, that you're not the same person, that you're no longer in that place, and keep walking. You no longer need them to text you to have a good day. You're no longer staring at your phone waiting for that call. You're no longer limited by their schedule, their whims, their comings and goings. You keep going, you live, you do new things, you surround yourself with different people. You start to shine without asking anyone for permission. And in that process, something changes. You're no longer within reach. It's not so easy to have you, and that weighs on them. Do it again and again until no longer looking back becomes natural. You don't need answers to move forward. You don't need apologies to heal. They start to see that you're not like before, that you no longer respond to their message instantly, that you're no longer available to solve, listen, or wait. And that change unsettles them because you were a sure thing, and now suddenly you're not. Not physically, not overnight, but emotionally. You left a long time ago. It's just noticeable now. If you keep thinking about what was, you are robbing yourself of the only thing you truly have. Then now, you only need decision, and only you can make that. You cooey and imagine the peace there is when you stop carrying guilt that doesn't belong to you, when you stop asking yourself, what if ... and start asking yourself, what do I want to build now? That's where your freedom begins, in stopping the circling, in stopping searching for meaning where perhaps there never was any, in realizing that looking back changes nothing, but looking forward changes everything. Marcus Aurelius said clearly, the past and the future do not exist. Only the present can be lived. And he was right, and no one deserves to have that power over you. No one deserves your life to stop because of what they did, what they said, or what they failed to value. You cannot change what happened, but you can change what you do with it. And the best way to do that is to look forward. People who live trapped in the past become prisoners of their own thoughts. They relive the same scene over and over, the same words, the same wounds, and that wears them out, that ages the soul. Because while you are thinking about what was, life goes on, and you are missing it. And whoever doesn't see it, let them feel it. Let them notice it with your distance, with your new absence, with the void you left by no longer giving what was never appreciated. And that doesn't make you bad. It makes you aware. It makes you free. It makes you strong. Because the unexpected carries more weight than any argument. Because the mind gets trapped in what wasn't said, in what wasn't closed, in what wasn't explained. And if that wasn't enough, then it's not your responsibility to translate the obvious. The one who couldn't see it will have to face their own blindness. And that hurts more than any explanation you could give. So the next time you feel you're being taken for granted, don't respond, don't explain, don't complain. Simply take a step back and let the silence do its job. Because whoever truly loved you will feel it. And whoever lost you by not valuing you will think about it. You cannot live if you are reliving. What happened, happened. Your task is to move forward. And you, meanwhile, will be at peace. Not because of what you said, but because of what you chose to keep silent. You don't have to explain your worth, or justify your boundaries, or give reasons why you chose to take care of yourself. Seneca said that tranquility of the soul comes from living in coherence with oneself, not with the expectations of others. Every time you review what you said, what you did, what was done to you, you are stealing your present. And worst of all, you continue to give power to what is no longer there, to what no longer adds value. You cannot move forward if one foot is in what has already been. And your task now is not to understand it more or explain everything to yourself. So if your soul is at peace with your decision, you don't need anyone to approve it. You don't need to close cycles with words if you've already closed them with actions. Sometimes it's enough to simply walk away. Because when someone doesn't listen while you're speaking, they don't deserve answers when you're silent. Not giving an explanation isn't coldness. It's choosing your peace of mind over the other person's emotional closure. It's understanding that not everything has to be resolved with words, because often words only serve to calm guilt, not to change attitudes. and you are not here to calm anyone. You are here to heal yourself. Every time you mentally return to the past, you chain yourself to what no longer exists. And in that void, in that silence, the other person begins to think, to review, to wonder what they did wrong, what they could have changed, why they didn't see it coming, and that's the lesson. Not your words, but your absence. People usually expect an explanation because they want to control the narrative, but you are not obligated to give them that control. Every time your mind wants to go back, stop, breathe. The Stoics taught to act in accordance with virtue, not validation. Give it a try. You don't need to explain yourself because your energy has already spoken. Your efforts have already spoken. Your patience, your presence, your dedication, they have already said everything. 6. Don't look back. Stop looking back. There's nothing there for you anymore. The past has that trap. It makes you believe that if you think a little more, you'll find an answer that will free you. Moving forward without regrets isn't denying what you lived. It's honoring it, learning, being grateful, and continuing. Stop looking at their profile. Stop responding immediately. Stop telling them every step you take. The future is not built by looking in the rearview mirror. It is built by walking, even if it hurts, even if you don't have all the answers, even if there are still open wounds. Do the exercise. So keep going with all that you are, with all that you have learned, without stopping for what you can no longer correct. 7. Make yourself unattainable. Make yourself feel unattainable. Not because you're running away, not because you think you're better than anyone. When you become unattainable, it's not because you've disappeared. It's because you are no longer dependent. When you become unattainable, the other person begins to feel the emptiness they left by not taking care of you. And it's not that you no longer feel anything. It's not that you don't care, but you understood something very valuable. The Stoics spoke of not depending on external factors for happiness. Do the exercise. Over time, they will seek you out. They'll try to find out about you. They'll send casual messages. They'll make excuses to appear.
8. Absence is the greatest lesson. Absence is the greatest lesson you can give to someone who didn't know how to value you. No shouts are needed, no explanations, no long conversations trying to make the other person understand what you already felt in silence. But when you decide to leave without saying anything, when you simply disappear from where you no longer fit, the script breaks. The other person is left alone with their actions, their words, their decisions, and with no way to justify them. They are left wondering what happened, at what moment you changed, why you didn't say anything. Epictetus taught that one must distinguish between what is in their power and what is not. You cannot control whether the other person repents, whether they change, whether they understand what they did, but you can control your response. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Not everyone deserves your words. Some only deserve your distance, because there are wounds that are not healed with apologies but with absence. There are people who don't learn by listening to you, but by losing you. What ended, ended for a reason, and even if you don't understand it now, even if it's hard to accept, one day you'll look back and say, thank goodness that happened. Sometimes we cling so tightly to someone that we believe we won't be able to breathe without them, but you can. Imagine yourself strong, independent, smiling without anyone asking you why, doing new things, traveling, achieving goals, getting to know yourself better, because that's what awaits you. A version of yourself that doesn't need validation, doesn't need permission to be happy, that doesn't need borrowed love to feel complete. Marcus Aurelius said that what happens to you doesn't affect you, it's how you interpret it. Visualize yourself with energy, with light in your eyes, with peace in your heart. Visualize yourself so strong that you no longer depend on what was, because when you shift your focus from what you lost to what you can gain, you truly begin to heal. And one day, without realizing it, you'll stop checking your phone for a message. One day you'll wake up without that, not in your chest. One day you'll meet someone and say, now I understand why the previous thing didn't work out. And if today you choose to see this breakup as a rebirth, everything changes. Where you hold yourself tight and tell yourself, this won't break me, this will shape me, because you deserve more. Because you deserve love without doubts, without halves, without conditions. Cry if you need to, but keep going. And even if you don't see it now, the best is yet to come, so keep going. One day, you'll be grateful you didn't give up. Because the future, believe me, will be much better. You are not a victim of loss, or the protagonist of your evolution. Go to the comments and write again. My change begins now with Stoicism. Repeat that phrase with strength, with intention, with determination, because every time you do it, you reinforce your commitment to yourself. It's not just a phrase, it's the beginning of a new way of living. You are leaving behind what no longer fits with who you are becoming. And not only that, you can build a wonderful life for yourself. It's one of the hardest, yes, but also one of the most transformative. That's where you reinvent yourself. No one grows in comfort, we grow in pain. We grow when life shakes us and forces us to look within. It's where you find your strength. That's where you realize you deserve more, that you deserve peace, stability, real love, and that you won't settle for less. You just have to give yourself time. You just have to believe, even a little bit, that something better is coming. Because it is, I promise you. Because often love doesn't end, it transforms. And sometimes it transforms into a lesson, a wake-up call, a door that closes so you can finally look elsewhere. Just to disappear without further ado, a place where you are the center of your life, not that person. And if your silence makes them think, if your absence hurts them, if your distance teaches them, then you did the right thing. You did nothing, and that was everything. And sometimes the best response is to give none, just to continue, just to let go. And that's where the lesson begins, because having no answer is the echo that resonates the most. Today it hurts, but the future will be better. Simply distance yourself. Close the door with respect, with silence, with firmness. You feel that emptiness in your chest, that sadness that weighs down to your bones. You think you won't be able to go on without that person. You wonder how you'll fill that space they left, how you'll genuinely smile again. But listen carefully. What breaks you now will one day free you. What feels like an end today is actually the beginning of something much greater for you.
Ow.
Don't look for the perfect moment to talk. Let your absence occupy that space, because the void you leave is the mirror where the other person begins to see their true reflection. And when that reflection appears, it's not always pleasing. At first, perhaps nothing will happen. Silence, coldness, apparent indifference. But over time, they will feel it because there is nothing more powerful than missing someone who is no longer available, who no longer responds, who no longer seeks, who no longer insists. When someone hurts you, and you decide not to react, not to justify yourself, not to seek revenge, you are showing a level of control that disarms them, because you are not fleeing. You are choosing not to stay where you are not cared for, and that feels stronger than any words. Humans are accustomed to responses, to closing stories with dialogues, with complaints, with shouts or apologies. Your silence becomes an internal voice within that person, one that doesn't easily fade. They begin to imagine scenarios, to relive conversations, to analyze everything they said or failed to do, and the more they think, the more evident their mistake becomes. It's about protecting yourself, about no longer giving explanations to those who don't deserve them, about saving your energy for yourself, for your process, for your healing. Sometimes talking only serves to ease the other person's conscience, but leaves you just as broken. Don't explain your departure. Don't leave letters. So you choose not to speak, not out of pride, but out of dignity. Because if someone truly valued you, you wouldn't be in this situation. If they didn't know how to take care of you, now that they lose you, they will learn. Because you didn't leave overnight. You left in pieces, little by little, and now in your absence. That person begins to see what they didn't want to see when you were present. Life goes on, and you have to go with it. It's not about disappearing to cause harm. The Stoics knew that what is not up to you should not disturb your peace. Give it a try. And you, meanwhile, keep moving forward, not from resentment, but from the peace of knowing you did the right thing, leaving silently, but with full force. 9. Remember that the future will be better, I know. Right now, it feels like everything is lost. You have to stop idealizing what's gone. Life doesn't stop because someone leaves. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine what your life would be like without depending emotionally on that person. A breakup isn't a curse, it's an opportunity. Stoicism teaches that we shouldn't suffer over what is not up to us. And the love of another is precisely that, uncontrollable. Do the exercise. Every time you think of that person, visualize your best future, your home, your projects, your new routine. But before all that comes this moment, the moment where you choose to believe that the future will be better. If you've made it this far, you've already taken a huge step towards your transformation. But now I want you to seal it.